This is the original location that Walter Peck found in 1927. I'm standing right on top of the metal doors that lead down to a series of ladders and switchback stairs that was used all the way until 1962.
As he peered inside, Peck was stunned by just how far into the earth he could see. From the time his feet touched the ground, Peck thought he had struck gold. Eager to start mining and sensing a change in his fortunes, Walter borrowed money to lease the 600 acres of land above the caves.
Walter came down on that first day with his lantern. He got over here to this wall, was stupefied to realize he'd found a gold mine. Turned out he hadn't.
There was no gold in these caves.
All he had was iron oxide and a great big giant hole in the ground.
But Peck was just beginning to realize how unique this cavern system would turn out to be.
We're in the halls of gold. It has 90-foot ceilings. There are other big rooms, but they're nowhere near as big as these. It's just a magnificent cathedral-like space.
Understanding what created these magnificent caves reveals something unexpected. While 97% of the world's caves are still in the process of being formed, with water actively cutting new channels through them, this cave system is incredibly unusual. Today, these caves are bone dry. Frozen in time, essentially unchanged since the water table dropped millions of years ago. Geologist Paul Jorgensen began studying and mapping the dry caves in 1993, looking for evidence of how they were formed.
Grand Canyon Caverns is in the Mississippian limestone, so it puts it about 323 to 360 million years. So it's a very ancient limestone.
During its formation, the limestone cavern was submerged underwater.
The caverns were made from water flowing from down below up and eating away at the limestone and creating the vast chambers over many millions of years.
Volcanic activity released sulfuric acid that swirled among the rocks.
The sulfuric acid was going up the wall here as a column and eroding away the rock, smoothing all of the rough edges, creating these scallops. It's very similar to what you'd have in a beach setting or a stream. This later stuff here was formed as the cave dried out. So the water table dropped and this other stuff was able to get in as it was what we call an aerial deposition. So there was little tiny particles of moisture that had the calcium in it and was able to stick on here.
Paul's scientific research has revealed some bizarre atmospheric patterns in the cavern's airflow, particularly in the area known as Mystery Hill.
The mystery is to where the air goes in the caverns. We have air exchange from the surface. High pressure blows air in, low pressure the cave breathes out. Today the cave is breathing out because the humidity is high here. We're looking at 60%. Earlier in the day it was at 50%. We're on the top of a hill, there's no water, there's no lakes, no streams. So where's the water coming from? Where's the moisture? That's a really good question. There's all kinds of wild theories about what could be below. It could be a lake or a pond or something that's holding water, so it's a mystery for us. I hope that we break into a sealing passage and we have to get a boat to go across it.
Today, geologists like Paul are still searching for clues within the rock. But back in the early 1900s, Peck was more interested in pulling in crowds to marvel at the strange subterranean world.
This is the original entrance. From 1927 until about 1936, it was the dope on a rope. They tied a rope around your waist and lowered you down with a lantern. You could explore as far as you wanted to go, but at some point, you yanked on the rope and hopefully they were paying attention and they pulled you up.
Peck was determined not to lose money on his investment, and he devised an even more exciting opportunity to reel in visitors.
In one of Walter's earliest journeys, he found some bones on a ledge about 40 feet down from the natural entrance. Walter, being a marketing genius in a way, quickly decided that those bones must belong to cavemen.
People came from miles around to see where cavemen had lived.
The tourist attraction here was absolutely crazy. More sales tax here than the Grand Canyon National Park, and the biggest moneymaker in the state of Arizona.
But the bodies weren't early humans, and Peck never really thought they were. So he kept it quiet, but there had been a saddle for a horse lying next to the bones when he found them. The remains were later tested and confirmed to be Hualapai Native Americans who had died of the flu in 1918.
It turned out that the Hualapai had used the ledge as a temporary morgue in the winter, and that some remains had been left there.
These caves had actually been known and used by the Hualapai people for centuries.
Hualapai really objected to this route because it went through what they considered a sacred ledge.
The accurate identification of the bodies hurt Peck's publicity. Had Peck's luck run out? Or could a mysterious change of fortune help him reinvent the Grand Canyon caverns? As the Great Depression of the 1930s took hold all over America, President Franklin D. Roosevelt established the Civilian Conservation Corps, a program to give state-funded work to the millions of unemployed across the U.S. One of their first projects in Arizona was to build a new entrance to the Grand Canyon caverns. The project was of particular interest to the cave's owner, Walter Peck.
Walter said, "I really need a better way into my cave." And so they built this fantastic suspension bridge, all of the materials of which are from the building of Hoover Dam. There's still concrete on the side of the boards. The cables are from the dam building itself. It made it a lot easier with ladders and switchback stairs at the top of this for people to come down.
The new entrance meant that more people could enter the cave at a time. Seeing the financial opportunity, Peck upped his prices to 50 cents per person. But the caves never made Peck the millionaire he hoped to be. And in 1957, he sold the land to a family with a new vision.
The Ringsby family sealed off this old entrance, and they started the new elevator route.
The addition of the elevator allowed tourists to access parts of the caves they never could before.
We're going to go in the entrance, which is our original and natural entrance into our first big room. Welcome to our Chapel of the Ages on the upper level of our caverns.
And for the more adventurous, Chris Cadletts is in charge of leading extreme cavern tours.
We'll be hiking in complete darkness with nothing but our headlamps on.
Taking visitors to uncharted sections of the caves.
Wild Tours gives guests the opportunity to go off trail and do some real caving in places where very few people have been before.
Chris takes an active role in the exploration work carried out by geologist Paul Jorgensen.
Seeing how much Paul and the rest of the cavers have found over the past 20 years has really inspired, I think, a whole younger generation of cavers as to how much more there can really be in this cave, you know. Tons of cracks and crannies riddled throughout the entire cave.
The caves always provide you another new question until you get to a total dead end, but we haven't found the dead end yet.
Chris and Paul work with other geologists and cavers to map the rest of the system in hopes of discovering new tunnels.
We're looking to find out where the air goes and why the air comes out back moist again. And that's where the real excitement is.
If we were to find water, we would likely then find life. Life is paired with water, so there's opportunity for new species and all sorts of exciting things.
And life was exactly what was found in 1958 by the Ringsby family.
Right here during the excavation for our stairway, a complete skeletal set was found.
Just as Peck saw a marketing hook with his claims about cave dwellers, the Ringsbys optimistically declared these bones to be from dinosaurs. A whole new visitor center was built, complete with replica dinosaurs adorning the roadway. But just 8 months after the new facilities opened, tests came back confirming that these bones were not actually from dinosaurs.
She was a 15-foot, 1,500-pound North American ground sloth, and she ruled this area. She was laying here in the dirt right here. She had fallen in the natural entrance, as many other creatures had. After being here about 72 hours, succumbed from dehydration, and eventually turned into just skeletal remains.
Once again, the owners of the Grand Canyon caverns may have oversold what actually lay within.